All right, apparently there were a bunch of local elections in the United States last night. When I saw like election day trending on Twitter, I just assumed it was like the UK or something. But now that I think about it, there are certain states in the U.S. that have what we would call off-year elections, elections on odd-numbered years where most of the states are not voting and there are no national elections. So some of those states are like Mississippi, Kentucky, Virginia. What was there? New Jersey might be another one. And anyway, apparently the Republicans did very poorly last night. Who could, imagine my shock. Honestly, the fact that I didn't even know that there were elections going on, considering that for, gosh, as long as I can remember, going back to like end of elementary school, beginning of middle school age, I've been very plugged into politics. I have to say, I just think that the GOP might not be doing a very good job at animating voters and to get them out and support their candidates. Granted, I wasn't in a state where there were any elections, but still, I mean, you would think maybe some of their messaging would trickle into my orbit. And actually, I think there's some kind of presidential debate tonight, if I remember correctly. I mean, I heard something about a debate in Miami. Actually, maybe it was last night. Who knows at this point? I mean, is it just me, or does none of this feel like it matters? Does nobody care? To top it all off, the thing that I see Republicans talking about the most, why they lost last night, it's like, oh, well, it's because we're too pro-life, obviously. We need to drop this pro-life stuff. It's just losing us votes. It's like, oh, so like one of the only issues that the GOP even has, it's like, well, okay, if you drop that, what do Republicans have left? Some Republicans are still good on guns in the sense that they haven't let gun rights be eroded. They've not really. I mean, Trump was not good on guns. There was some bad stuff. Like the bump stock ban that he went along with, and then you have the red flag laws, which a lot of Republicans go along with, like Rick Scott, who also, when he was governor, raised the age to buy a gun from 18 to 21. Meaning that you could be drafted into the military to fight and die in some pointless war with Iran or Russia, but you would not legally be able to, in the state of Florida, purchase a gun in your private life as a citizen. So yeah, that's like the one issue I think that Republicans still have to a certain extent, so not saying very much, because like budget stuff, well, they never were good on that anyway, but it was something that kind of animates some people, and they talk about it sometimes. Oh, the border, it's like, well, they've I don't think anyone I think they've played Lucy in the football enough times with the border that nobody's taking that seriously. The pro-life crowd, one of their few like reliable interest groups, voting blocs. So I guess Republican candidates, you want to abandon those folks, that's fine. You're just giving people even less reason to vote for you. All I know is what the Republicans are, what issues they don't stand for. I don't know what they do stand for. I have no idea. I'm not really interested in voting for Republicans. I have no, like if you told me there was an election tomorrow, and generic Republican, are you going to vote for them? It's like, why? I mean, look at friggin' Kentucky. They had their governor was like Mr. Lockdown, who he padlocked the churches shut in the Bible Belt. Told people, you want to go to church, you're going to go to prison. Jailing Christians for gathering and reading the Bible. That was Andy Beshear. And he won re-election in a landslide. Is it because he's so great? Or is it because people look at the Republican and go, they're like the meme guy with his hands up, shrugging his shoulders? What was his name? Cameron something or something Cameron? I remember him from a few years ago. He was Mitch McConnell's, like, underling. He was Mitch McConnell's like political godson, who kind of seemed like he was being groomed to be the successor. So I never really had any interest in the guy. It's like, oh, okay, you're a Mitch McConnellite. How interesting. And maybe, just maybe, folks in the state of Kentucky, or sorry, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, kind of had the same feeling. They didn't really care about him. Or the whole thing could be rigged, because I forget which. There was a lot of like undervote or overvote, depending on how you're looking at it. I think there were a lot more people who voted for like Secretary of State and Attorney General, or maybe there were a lot more who voted for governor. I can't remember which. No, I think it was the opposite. I think less people voted at the top of the ticket on the governor question than they did for the cabinet members, the Attorney General and Secretary of State. And both of those were won by Republicans. So it seemed like a lot of Republicans just sort of left the top blank, and they're like, maybe I don't want to vote for Andy Beshear, perhaps, but I don't really care about this McConnellite either. He's not interesting. Or I guess if they wanted to, they could just blame it on racism because it was a black guy. But black people certainly did not turn out to vote for him. That never happens on the Republican side. We can be sure of that. Louisville's never voted bluer. And then there was a bunch of stuff in Ohio the Democrats did very well on, and based on exit polls, which you can never really trust. It was a very, very Democratic electorate, meaning that turnout-wise, Republicans just chose not to show up because, like me, probably pretty apathetic, probably don't care. And for whatever reason, it's not like Joe Biden is the most popular president in American history, even though I've jokingly called him that throughout his presidency. He doesn't seem to have depressed Democratic turnout in the same way that Republican turnout has been depressed. I'd be interested. Oh wait, we're not going to have another midterm election. What am I thinking? I was going to say, in the next midterms, it'd be interesting, if we have a lower turnout relative to recent years. And turnout's never been particularly high in the United States anyway. Because the American population, good chunk of us, pretty wise to the futility of politics, and most people just don't care. And so because it's not that they don't care about the country or about the future. That is a myth that is propagated by people who worship the system. It's like, well, now you don't care about our country. It's your civic duty to vote. It's like, no, it's not that people don't care. It's that they realize that none of it matters, that nothing's fair, that they're not in control. They're rejecting your premise. And so I think that's where Republican voters probably are right now. The results seem to reflect my personal attitude. I'm not saying that I'm representative. I'm just saying, hey, I can relate. We see Republican turnout way down, and so, makes it a lot easier for Democrats to win in a lot of cases. Republicans even showing up, but then leaving certain parts of the ballot blank. All I'm saying is, I get it. So, with that said, I will see you folks back here tomorrow.